All right, all right. Here we go.
Let's go. Hey, yeah. Everybody in position if you on my same mission and you looking for that new wave, I'm the definition. Yeah. I used to only dream about this life that now I'm living. A boss, you can see I got the sauce all on me dripping. So feel the vibe, take flight. Can't lie, it's my best life. Falling out, that's tight. Now we can do this a night. Can't stop, won't settle. Keep it pushing, max pedal. Yeah, it's something special. We going next level. We going next level. Next level. Let's go. Come on. We going next level. We going next level. Let's turn this up a notch. Yeah, get up or just watch. Okay, you know we won't stop. Let's go get to the top. Taking it up, shaking it up, yeah, come ride with us. Hey, bring your click, if it ain't lit, let's get fired up. Watch my crew do what we do, on the move, we keeping it true. Who would've knew we came in blue? Sitting on top, it's a gorgeous view. Get more stacks, flip it back, no cap, this is fact. So you thought this was a rap, it's a journey off the map. No signs you won't find, I already lost my mind. Turn the bass up in the treble, here comes the next level. We going next level. Here we go. Yeah. Next level. We going next level. Yeah. Here comes the next level. Let's turn this up a notch. Turn it up. You can get up or just watch. Level up. And you know we won't stop. We don't stop, no, till we take it to the top. Yeah. Let's turn this up a notch. Turn this up a notch. Get up or just watch. Just watch. Get up. And you know we won't stop. Come on. Stop. Yeah. Stop. Till we take it to the top. What? The top. We're going to the next level. Next level. Next level. We're going to the next level.
Woo! All right. Let's let the show begin.
Seriously, what the hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Strong Arm Flix. What's up, Jeffrey? What's going
Nothing.
on?
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful this morning. Just had to scoff down my breakfast real quick, running a little behind as usual today. Story of my life. Yeah. I had some sausage, bacon, eggs, and toast. Man, it was pretty good. Some jelly on it. So, how's your morning going, Jeffrey?
Pretty good. Just had biscuits and bacon.
Oh yeah, that
So-
sounds good. Jeff, sausage gravy. Gotta have the sausage gravy on the biscuits, bro.
Really,
Yeah.
I just have butter on mine. And that's
Well, they're
it.
good like that too, man. I like some biscuits in the morning. My favorite are sausage gravy though, biscuits and gravy. I like them. I love them. Anyway, Jeffrey, we got a couple people here already. We're sorry to keep you guys waiting. Pedro, release the Ayer cut. Clayface. Yeah, what's up, Clayface? I like the picture he's got too. Let them pussyfoot around Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. WB won't be successful until the story is finished from where it was stored. Hey, it's looking that way.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna talk about that briefly before we start our main topic. Me and Jeffrey were just talking about that behind the scenes a little bit. So, Pedro, just wanted to say I appreciate your content. It's strong on Flix. That means a lot to me. It really does. Hearing that from you guys, from me and Jeffrey. Me and Jeffrey, we put a lot of time and energy trying to work on our craft and make things, interesting, switch them up from time to time, and give the people what they want as well. But we're always fans first, though.
Yeah.
Slipknot fan, what's up? What's up, brother?
Hey.
The movie raider, yo. Okay, let's see. What's the best way to dispel the notion that James Gunn's thread was a no to the Ayer cut? Exactly. It wasn't a no. It wasn't a no at all.
Yeah, we covered that actually a few streams ago.
Yep. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it might have been the last one that we did, but I'm not exactly sure. But just a matter of time before Zaslav introduces Zack Snyder back to the DCEU, or DCU as they've rebranded it now, from what I've been told.
Yeah.
Smash that like button for us, guys. 90 in the building. I had steak and eggs with scotch. Scotch bonnet hot sauce. Oh, I said scotch bonnet hot sauce. Okay. It was mad good. Yeah, it sounds good. I was like, damn, you drinking scotch already? Hey, pour one up for me too. No. Do y'all think now that Henry Cavill has been describing his vision for Superman, he will be a story consultant and or producer on Man of Steel 2, similar to Edward Norton on The Incredible Hulk? I don't know about that. I do think that he will have some a little bit of creative input, but I always get nervous about actors having too much creative input, because it's like getting a mechanic to work on your electrical shit in your house. It's like you're a mechanic, you're good at that. Maybe not so much as an electrician though. That's what there's electricians for.
Yeah.
So I do think that he wouldn't have signed a new big contract unless he had some kind of creative input to a degree. I'm just hoping that it wasn't too much, because we've already seen this happen with Margot Robbie and the original Suicide Squad, and you already seen it. We already seen this play out with Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie, and then see it play out once again in The Suicide Squad. And she's great as the character, but her creative input and the feminist shit, she shouldn't have had say so over that kind of stuff, because that's not her job, and she really kind of missed the mark with Birds of Prey. That was really all her. She chose the cast, the director, had control over basically every moving working part of the movie. Her and Kathy Yan did.
Yeah.
And we've seen how that turned out. And yes, there is a Yan cut. Now, if people want to see it, that I'll let you guys, the fans, be the judge of that. But either way, as a creative, it should be released. I mean, director's cuts are very common. It used to be a very common thing. And that's something that somebody raised a fair point to me over on Twitter. It's always been this way. Movies get director's cuts, to restore vision, or to tell a different version of the story. Especially if the movie has a following.
Yeah.
Why not? Studios have been doing this since way before I was born. So
yeah, and Robert Layfield, the person who created Deadpool, like the actual comics, not the movie, but the person Robert Layfield, he actually brought it up too that that director's cuts in his time were very common, and I think that the people who are kind of against the notion of a director's cut, saying like, oh, this is going to be confusing to everyone else, and it's really not. Like, director's cuts were very common in the past. They just aren't now. Like, right. They aren't common in the modern, in kind of like this modern era of movie making now. It's just like what you see is what you get now.
Yeah, and another thing is too is maybe to the extent of the director's cut that we got Zach's, that he actually had his name slapped on it, and he got to redo some of the CGI that the studio altered that was originally supposed to be like the way that he presented it to us. Excuse me. Maybe it wasn't common to the extent of the Snyder cut, but BVS Ultimate Edition, absolutely. Watchmen, absolutely. Lots of other movies, absolutely. Always has been a thing. It's always been around. It's just nowadays, it's like they're trying to, the studios, and greed, it plays a big part in it. They're just trying to take more and more control over things, and it is what it is. They want to control the narrative, and there's no extent, as we can see, to which they will not go to do so. Now I want to jump onto this topic that Pedro put up, because I want to start this topic, and then we'll go on to the main topic. Pedro says, do you think Black Adam will make a profit before it's pulled off theaters? Well, guys, I just dropped an episode on Strong Arm Flix, the last one, I spoke all about this, and I'm assuming this is why he's asking. I talked about it a little bit, but I want to be more clear. So Black Adam, guys, it's not looking good for Black Adam right now. And what's sad is I absolutely didn't want this movie to fail. I went out and supported it. It came out right around my birthday. I took my kids, my lady. Hell, I even talked my parents into going, and my sister. We all went and seen it. We enjoyed it. Definitely wasn't a masterpiece, but it was enjoyable. It's The Rock. He played Black Adam. I think that in his own Rock way, he tried really hard to establish his character in the Man of Steel universe. So I respected that. I also respected the fact that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got Henry Cavill back, for better or worse, as Superman. I didn't care for the Williams theme or how high they turned up the contrast on the suit, but we've got Superman. We got a new character in the universe, Black Adam. The story was decent enough. It definitely had flaws, definitely, but in no way should this movie, in my opinion, be bombing like this. There's just no way that this movie should be tanking the way that it is right now. It's looking like this movie is not going to release. Now, this could change. This could always change, but the window is closing, and it's closing goddamn fast. Excuse my language, but it's, the movie's been in theaters now 4 weeks. 4 weeks, over 23 I don't remember exactly how many days, but and the movie is only worldwide, it's only made $330 million. The budget for this movie was $200 million. Okay, rule of thumb, you always double what your budget is for your marketing. That's just how it is. It's what it's always been for the movie making industry. So if you double that, right, 200 million budget. So it goes to reason, roughly, could be a little more, a little less, roughly 200 more million for marketing. That's usually how they do things.
Yeah.
So that would put the movie at around 400 million that movie would need to make just to break even. The movie is sitting at $330 million after a month of release worldwide. Okay, and you can't use this COVID bullshit anymore, because that's been done and over with. Plenty of movies have came out since the lockdowns have ended, and it's been quite some time now. Lots of movies have proven that if the movie's good and you haven't pissed your fans off, you put something out, the people, they will come. You build it, they will come. And we've seen this with other projects, un-DC related. We've seen it with Marvel projects, even. Yes, maybe the box office will never quite be. It's still recovering. It won't be quite what it used to be. But for the most part, there's no way that this movie shouldn't be at $400 million right now, worldwide. So that's not good, because as of now, Black Adam is looking to lose the studio around $100 million minimum as of now, at minimum. And so that begs the question, do boycotts work? And I have not boycotted this movie. This is not a movie that any of the fan base that I've seen wanted to boycott. And if you, and I genuinely didn't want, I didn't expect this movie to be the next, best thing since, eggs and bacon. But, I didn't, nobody wanted this movie to tank, like, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But apparently a lot of people are just turned off from it. They're not willing to give this studio their money like they used to be anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, the studio's just done so many bait and switches with their movies. With the trailers to their movies, they have bait and switched the audience, where they have tricked them, betrayed them, and then doubled down on their nonsense and put the middle finger up to their audience so many times that they're finally seeing, and all the old regime that did all that stuff, they're not there. And guess what? All the fans know that they're not there, because we all celebrated the day they left.
Yeah.
So it's not even nothing personal, in my opinion, in my mind, against Black Adam. It's just the fact that in general, it doesn't matter. There's new people there. They're still being cryptic about, not cryptic, but not clear enough about what the plan is. They're saying they have a 10-year plan. It's been long enough now that some of that should be revealed. Black Adam's out. They've got one project left for the DC slate next year, which is The Flash.
And Aquaman.
Well, yeah, Aquaman, but now Aquaman's almost a 2024 release. They pushed it back, and it's coming out around December of 2023?
Yeah, around December. So
right, so that's damn near a 2024 movie now. And with when Warner Brothers sees the general public reaction to Black Adam, when it's all said and done, at least theaters, if this movie literally loses them $80+ million, then you bet your ass there's going to be more delays for The Flash, more delays for the Aquaman, and they're going to do additional reshoots and additional photography to switch things up even more, probably.
Yeah.
And so that would easily, if that movie gets pushed back even 2 more weeks, Aquaman 2 will be a 2024 release. And I absolutely see this happening at the rate that Black Adam is going right now. Go ahead, Jeffery. I'm going to hear what you got to say about it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on that. And the thing is, I saw Black Adam, and I thought it was and really, this is really kind of the problem with what I'm about to say, is that it seemed, I told you this backstage, I thought of it as a average movie. I really did think of it as a average movie. I really didn't think anything much of it. And the fact that you have Henry Cavill returning as Superman, even though it was leaked because someone leaked it. But yeah, even though someone leaked it, Henry Cavill's return as Superman, as of right now, it's at 330 million, and it's very close to being pulled off theaters, and that's pretty crazy.
Very close to being pulled from theaters.
Yeah, and really, this is kind of what Martin Scorsese said about post-credit scenes, is that basically post-credit scenes are kind of ads in themselves for the next for the next movie and what's in store next. And with Henry Cavill returning as Superman in that post-credit scene, you can put in your mind that that down the road they were going to do a Black Adam versus Superman movie, which I think a lot of people would be hyped for and would want to see. But the fact that as of right now, of it being 330 million is really telling, because that means that people really are just kind of turned off by it. Like, no one is like, and what I mean by turned off by that is that no one is talking about it. Like, not even like negatively, people are talking about it because you know the whole saying about any publicity is good publicity.
Good publicity, yes.
So, like, if people are giving you dead silence for a movie that has Superman returning to the DCEU, that's very bad. Like, that's very bad. There's no other way to say it. Like, that's really bad.
Yeah, and it's not Superman's fault. You know, you got a movie with The Rock, one of the biggest movie stars in the industry, and Henry Cavill's Superman in his big return. And yes, the end credit scene was leaked, but that, I must remind people, the movie released in other places way before it released in the United States. So
exactly.
that movie was already out in other places. So honestly, they kept that pretty lock and key until like the week of, which is pretty damn good. Any studio would call that a success for keeping something on lock and key like that. So it's not that. It's just the fact that nobody wants to see an ad for another movie because we know exactly what everybody knows what they're getting. And to my second point I'm going to make before final point we're going to talking point we're going to touch on a little bit before we move on to the main topic is Stanley just put this. Stanley Juma. I don't trust Gunn. If he doesn't release the Ayer cut, they should just burn like the old regime. And I understand why you feel like that. I can't say I 100% agree as of now, but I completely understand why you would feel like that. And here's the thing, okay? If it's clear now, okay, that very clear, and I hope James Gunn is paying attention. All right, it's very clear that that them listening to the fans, but working on the slate. I hope that he acknowledged that, hey, from now on we're gonna listen for the most part to you guys. We're not gonna give you everything. He insinuated we're not gonna give you everything that all of you guys are asking for, but for the most part, some talking points that you guys do, maybe we will do that or take your input and kind of adjust things based off of it. But I'm telling you now, James Gunn, I hope that you're paying attention. Because you need to add that into the equation about 50% more than what you had before. Because as you can see, without your fan base, you guys have nothing. Your general audience is only going to get you so far. And pretty much, in my opinion, Dwayne Johnson, on his end of things, pulled what he could pull as a movie star. The problem is, the real fans that you're making this property for, a lot of them didn't show up. They're over your bullshit, man. And it's not even Dwayne's fault. It's not Henry Cavill's fault. Hell, it's not even Gunn or Zaslav's fault, or the new WBD regime. But it's just a point. It's just the point, though, that they need to listen and really think about this and think this through before they start rushing out a new slate that nobody wants. Not saying nobody does because we don't know what that plan is, but think about this, right? Now imagine, this is showing one thing right now, that the fan base is extremely irritated with you mofos and not wanting to support anything you're doing moving forward. So if the Ayer cut does not come out one way or the other by you guys, you're screwed. You're screwed. Yep. Because the next project you have is The Flash with Ezra Miller. And what is attached to that project? A bunch of there was no controversy attached to Black Adam. Nothing but kittens and rainbows. And the big triumph return of Henry Cavill. And look what happened. Look what happened. Okay, so now your next project coming up, you've got that to expect. Plus, Now you've got a large portion of people on top of the portion of people that didn't show up. You've got a portion of people that are specifically not going to show up because it's Ezra Miller and all the bullshit that went on with him. Which, again, not Zaslav's fault, not James Gunn's fault. But it's just the point that if you guys don't start getting your act together and communicating better and listening, I see DC being doomed in a couple of years, because then what's the following project? Now think about this. After The Flash, what's the next project coming up? Aquaman 2. What's attached to that project? Amber Heard. What's attached to Amber Heard? More controversy.
I did hear though, I don't know if this is really concrete, but I did hear that a lot of the reshoots were to get rid of Amber Heard.
Yes, but here's the thing. Right. And I heard that too, Jeffrey, but here's the problem, Jeffrey. This studio, unlike Marvel or Disney, they should have already put out a PR statement, some wishy-washy bullshit, just letting us know that we have recasted Amber Heard as Mira. See, and if they don't do that, which it's looking like they're not going to, Jeffrey, people, when it comes to the release date, are going to expect her to be in it, and they're going to not go see it because they're going to think she's in it. So even if they recasted her, if they don't announce that shit and let the fans know, they're going to run into the same problem. And like I said, this should be really, really concerning to James Gunn right now.
Yeah.
As the first executive of DC Studios, this should be extremely concerning. I know right now they're not taking a lot of it to heart because they know that they didn't produce Black Adam. They weren't in control when that movie was filmed and made. But it's just the point. It's just the point, guys. This movie came out while you're in charge. This movie had no controversy attached to it. This movie had The Rock and his star power and the triumph return of Henry Cavill as Superman. And this movie hasn't even made $400 million worldwide at the box office. And this sucker is going to be leaving theaters very shortly. Yeah. And right now, as it stands, is looking to lose the studio around $100 million. So I think that it's fair to say that if they don't start communicating, the fans shouldn't have to get outraged and do a big, campaign and tag James Gunn a million times to get a fucking bullshit PR response from WBD or the executive at DC Studios. That's not how it should go. There should be updates constantly, or even if they're just wishy-washy PR updates, keeping people in the loop of what it is that they're doing. And right now, they're not doing that. They're not. They haven't done that, and they still haven't done that. I'm not saying that they won't. There's a good chance that they will. We'll have to give it time and see. Yeah. But no one's going to give it time to see. If you guys don't release that damn Ayer cut, and you guys don't call up Zach, and if you guys get it, and then another thing is too, if you don't release that Ayer cut, with the controversy coming up with Ezra Miller and his movie The Flash, I see that movie being absolutely doomed. Then the following movie, Aquaman, because of Mira, I see that the controversy with Amber Heard, I see that movie absolutely being doomed, because it's clear that you can get the general audience there. That's what you guys did with Black Adam. You got the general audience there, but to almost make your money back, but you still lost money because your largest portion of your customers are your fans, the fans that you're creating the content for, the real fans, and they are not fucking showing up to the theaters.
Right, and really, like, this is really one thing that people have told me is that the majority is that the general audience is like the majority of people, and I disagree. I told someone this, and he actually agreed with me. Yes, the general audience is the majority of the people, but the fans, like the actual hardcore fans, are like the people that go and rewatch movies in the movie theaters. Like you have people saying, for example, let's take Aquaman, for example. I actually remember someone saying that they saw Aquaman in theaters 5 times. Like, think about that. Someone going to see a movie, the same movie in the movie theaters 5 times. And really, that's how people, and really, that's how
repeat viewing
specifically make $1 billion. because of those rewatches that
Exactly.
people have in the movie theaters.
And let me tell you this, Jeffrey, to jump off of the point that you just made. Think about this too. You guys take this in consideration about Aquaman 1. Okay. That movie was the first movie to come out following Justice League. The general population was still figuring out what exactly went down with Justice League. Okay.
Yeah.
On top of that, you've got no controversy attached to the movie. You've got Jason Momoa, whose star power was at an all-time high then, and still is. I would argue not as much as it was, but still is.
Yeah.
You had his star power at an all-time high, no controversy, and you have Jason Momoa was the biggest advocate, blowing the doors open when the studio was trying to keep the Snyder Cut a secret. Him in every interview talking about how much he respects Zack, talking about what happened in the end of the real Snyder Cut that involved his arc in the movie, him coming out and saying, oh, it's real, it does exist, and putting interviewers in their place.
Yeah.
That brought all of the fans back. We were simultaneously fighting for the Snyder Cut and went out and support just because of Jason Momoa. You know, all the ladies came out because it's Jason Momoa. There was no controversy attached to it. Jason's star power is an all-time high, and all the diehard fans came out to support that movie because of what Jason Momoa was specifically doing and how he was fighting for the Snyder Cut alongside us. That is why that movie made $1 billion. BVS was on its way to making $1 billion.
Yeah.
And had they not chopped it up into pieces and released a bastardized theatrical cut and it got negative reviews, it absolutely would have gotten almost $1 billion, or if not $1 billion. So it was already on that trajectory. By the time Justice League came out, everybody knew what was going on. The diehard fans knew, and they skipped out on Justice League. Most of us did.
Yeah.
In the theatrical run for it, because we knew. You know, and people came back for Aquaman 1. I don't see that happening for Aquaman 2 now.
Yeah, because
I don't.
Yeah, because that's really the thing too. I still used to always before I knew about the whole controversy going on with her and Johnny Depp. And now currently I can barely watch that movie now, knowing that Amber is in that movie.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Exactly. And now imagine what the general audience's reaction will be. If you feel like that, Jeffrey, imagine the general audience, you know? I mean, you know, and then here's the other thing too. And like I said, guys, I'm not trying to spread doom and fear because, again, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. This ain't the time to just give up or nothing like that. That's not what I'm saying. I get, you know, I'm passionate about these things. Sometimes I get a little too hype about it. But what I'm saying is that there's a good chance that WB is already, you know, working something out. They're going to do what they're going to do, but I'm sure there's a way that they can find a little corner for Zack to do his own thing and finish off his arcs. And if they do that and release the Ayer cut, the rest doesn't matter to me personally. And they can put out their cookie cutter films that they want to put out. Okay. You know, and there's a very good, you know, I mean, I think that would put something out for everybody and make everybody happy. The world goes around, they make their money, and we're happy as DC fans. But like I said, as of now, though, because there's been no clarity, and I'm sure there will be soon enough. But if there's not, you know, that's just more reason, guys, to keep fighting for this shit. But like I said, though, you know, it's just that right now, the movie Raider, do you fear Man of Steel 2 will follow Superman Returns and Wonder Woman 84's blueprint? You know, honestly, I don't know. And I absolutely understand. I absolutely understand why you would ask this question and why some of the fans would feel that way. Because when they bring in Henry Cavill, he's got a perfect swirl all of a sudden. They turn the contrast up so damn high, trying to make Superman colorful and bright and stand for hope and optimism again. Literally, the symbol looked orange. The yellow looked orange.
Yeah,
they cranked that damn saturation up so high it turned the damn symbol orange. So, and then they played the Williams theme. Right now, you know, it's looking that way. But like I said, you know, you got to remember too, though, this was created under the old management. So, and they're not there now. So there's a 50 right now. It's a 50-50. It's a toss up. Is it going to be like that and follow the footprints of that? You know, or is it not? I mean, it's 50-50 right now.
Yeah, because really at the end of the day, I'm really kind of really I'm being patient about this whole situation until we actually get a announcement about like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the way we're going. Like until we actually get like a definitive thing, like until we get a definitive saying of what the plan is and not this alluding to stuff.
Yes.
Then really I'll have my judgment then. But as of right now, I'm just waiting to see how everything is going to happen.
Yes, and then here's the other, and then right here, Slipknot fan. Remember in Batman '89 when the Joker was running wild, destroying all those priceless paintings? That's how Walter Hamada was with DC movies. It's really not even fucking funny, man, but it is funny.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how it was. And then Clayface brings up an interesting point here. He said, says, if I don't get Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and 3 and the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, the WB have lost my money, and that's the problem because there's so many more people and fans just like you, Clayface, that feel exactly like that. And I believe wholeheartedly they are seeing this now, unless they're living under a fucking rock again. They are absolutely got to be seeing this with the performance of Black Adam right now in theaters. And again, I'm not trying to get no one to not go see it. Hell, I wouldn't see it and supported it. And quite a few people did, but clearly a lot of people didn't, man.
Yeah.
And if we got to rely on China, most of Marvel's new movies, like, into the, what was it? The new Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness, them movies opened and they didn't release in China. And them movies all made over $700 million at the worldwide box office. So we should not have to rely on China to make our movie break even. It's just supposed to be a regular movie. This ain't a fucking Avengers movie. This ain't a Justice League movie. This isn't, like some huge mega crossover event. This isn't the multiverse in the Flash. This is a Black Adam standalone movie that at the last minute got a cameo, like with Superman.
And they really like to go hammer on to your point about not needing China to make a lot of money. Like look at the Joker. Like even though I personally think of it as a okay movie, I don't think of it as a masterpiece. It's still the first rated R movie to make $1 billion.
Exactly.
Like think about that. Like it's the first movie to make $1 billion. It's the first rated R movie to make $1 billion. And the reason why I bring that up is because one, not only is it the movie rated R, which means that only adults can see it typically, but the thing is, rated R movies also don't go to China. So rated R movies typically don't go to China. So really think about this. Not only do you lose the kid audience, you're also losing the China audience.
The Chinese
market. So the fact that the Joker made $1 billion is really impressive for a rated R movie.
And here's what I have to say, Jeffrey. Here's another point, okay? Look at what the projects do that are outside the DCEU. The DC films that are outside of the DCEU. Think about it. Joker, the Batman, right?
Yep.
Guess what? They're all profitable. Now, the Batman didn't make a killing, but it was a fair movie. It wasn't a masterpiece. Same thing with the Joker was really good. The Joker, I believe, was a lot better than the Batman. They were both good movies, though. Neither were masterpieces. But if one was going to be considered a masterpiece, I would lean more towards the Joker. I don't believe that was a masterpiece, but it was damn good. And what are these two movies? But that's not my point to you guys. My point is, what do them two movies have in common with each other? Two things. They both did well critically and financially. And guess what? They were both outside the DCEU. And why is that? Why is that? You want to know why? Because of how much bullshit has went down in the DCEU with poor management, with studio meddling, with abuse of the creatives and actors, bait and switch in the trailers, and tricking the audience, giving the middle finger to the fans, just consistently, back to back to back, and they're seeing the results of that. And that's why I said in my last video that if Zack Snyder's not already in the plans and he just in the works to do his little corner, have his little corner and do his thing, James Gunn should be very concerned right now. And he should have Zack Snyder on the damn phone making a phone call, because they said Zack said that he hasn't received a call from him yet. He could be just saying that because he's not allowed to say nothing because he's still with Netflix. Look at what happened with Henry Cavill. He did a cameo, and all of a sudden he lost his job as The Witcher at Netflix.
Yep.
Now, he could have quit that job because of creative differences. Who knows? But the facts are, as soon as he started working for DC again, guess what happened? He lost his job over at Netflix. So we could very much be seeing a similar situation with Zack Snyder right now. It could be being talked about in the background, and he cannot say shit. Okay, but what I'm saying is if that's not the case, James Gunn better be calling Zack Snyder up like ASAP. When this Black Adam movie gets pulled from theaters finally, and if it didn't cross the $400 million threshold, he better be calling him like the next day, like, dude, we need you. And like I was saying in my video, Zack doesn't have to direct every movie. He don't gotta have his hands all over whatever comes out. He don't have to be dealing with everything they produce that's DC related, but they need, at the very least, they need his creative input on some things. It's clear as day, and then they need to make it clear to the public that they are working with him again, because people are not having it anymore, from what I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong, but people are not having it. If this Ayer cut doesn't come out, and there is, and they don't reach out to Zack in the coming year or so, and there's no official word on that, they're gonna have to either reach out to Zack, or they're gonna have to reboot everything from the ground up, from scratch, and see how that goes. Yeah. It's easy to criticize Zack, but let's see you start from scratch and build a whole new universe and cast actors that people actually want to see, that also are good at the job, and then try to create a layered universe that's going to span across all these movies and create. Let's see you do that. Let's see if you're the next Kevin Feige, because I guarantee that they won't even get half as far as Zack did. But that's going to be their only choice, because as you're seeing, the only thing they know what to do is go back to making standalone films, because that's all the DC was ever good at doing. Every 4 years, they put out 4 to 6 years, put out a standalone DC film. And then it was one and done, or they'd give them, if it was Batman, let's give them a trilogy. Batman, 10 more years up, give them another trilogy. Batman, another 10 years, give them another trilogy. That's what they do. Yeah. And that's the only thing that's ever worked for them. And it's clear that that's what they're getting back to doing, because the fact that they see, reboot again. Let me be clear, Slipknot fan. I definitely don't want to reboot.
Yeah, like
none of us do.
It's really.
I'm saying they're putting themselves in the position to where if they're going to continue to be hard-headed, it's going to get to a point where they're going to either have to sell the rights or do a total reboot. And the reboot won't last long, because I guarantee people ain't going to come out to see it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, you have been they've been going into this whole thing, maybe should we do a reboot, should we not? And the thing is, is right, a reboot at this time would be horrendous, because you've been this is pretty much what they've been doing. They've been doing they've been basically been really turning on the computer and then pressing Control Alt Delete to try to fix what's already been made. And
damn, Jeffery, I like how you put that.
Let's hypothetically say, and I hope James Gunn and David Zaslav are watching this and are paying attention, because this is important. If they were to do a reboot right now, that would there are 3 things that would happen. That would shut down a audience, which is basically money walking out of the door, and that's important because as of right now, Warner Brothers Discovery is in debt because of the old regime. Because of the old regime, Warner Brothers has been in debt for a really long time. They shut down the whole audience, and they're watching money walk out the door. Number two, how long would it be for there to be how long would there be to make a whole universe? 5-10 years maybe?
Oh yeah.
Like that's a really long
minimum.
time. That's a really long time. So it's like, what are you gonna do until then? Make a whole bunch of solo movies to kind of like fill in the gap? Because I actually said this on Twitter that basically what's been going on since the panic button of BVS is that Warner Brothers in general has been placing out these filler movies that typically lead nowhere. So, and really, like, I've been watching the DCEU really as a casual person now. Like, I've really been watching the DCEU kind of like the MCU right now, where I see both of these things as kind of like fan fiction / filler movies that really don't mean anything.
Exactly. And the movie radar, we're going to do this last one. We have to get onto our main topic because we're about 45 minutes in. I don't want the live stream to go on forever. The movie radar said, I'm still shocked that the Hamadaverse even has a few genuine fans. What are y'all thoughts on that? Well, the thing is, though, with that is that these are fans, which are a very small portion of the fan base, that just don't give a damn. They're just like anything DC, they're just going to eat it. They're just going to eat it right up. And, you have that with any fandom, with any, iconic IP. You have fans like that, yeah. But they're not the many. They are the few. It doesn't surprise me at all. But now, guys, let's get off that and get on to our main topic. Because, again, we're at 47 minutes. Also, smash the like button for me and Jeffrey. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to me and Jeffrey Warfield. We're on the road to 1,000 subs. Help us get there, y'all. We're trying to get to 1K. It's just, it's something else. It's a mess. And I don't see a way out of this without the Ayer cut and with some kind of announcement about Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. And even if that movie can't be made for 2-3 years from now, it ain't shit to get it in the works and just announce, hey, in 2 years, this movie will start filming. This date, here's the contract. We made sure that it was okay with Zack. We did, he's going to do it his way, his little corner over here to finish out that arc. Then we're going to do this. And I think everybody would be happy. But if they just keep going at the rate they're doing, they think just because they've got James Gunn, they've been wanting James Gunn for so long, the studio has. Since Suicide Squad film, they wanted him to do Suicide Squad. Now they've got him as the head. And, and again, it's nothing against James Gunn, but he was the only person to lose. His movie lost more money than any of the DCEU films have so far. The Suicide Squad has. And they put him, and it's not that James Gunn ain't a good creative. It's not that James Gunn ain't good, but the thing is James Gunn is dabbling in unknown territory for him. Yeah. He hasn't proved that with this kind of property that he is able to do it, bottom line. So he's a creative, though. So, he's got a working relationship with David and Zack. And if he hasn't made that call, his ass needs to make it soon. But let's jump into this, guys, and to release the Ayer cut. Let's start it now. We're going to go over this video with you guys. I want you guys to watch along. I want to see your comments on this and everything. This is a video by DC Third Act. I subscribed to their channel. I thought the video, I watched some of their stuff. Very interesting channel over here on YouTube. And we're gonna go over this video with you guys. There's a lot of things, some things I didn't even know. And it's the rise and fall of the DCEU. It points out a lot of the problems, how things went down, and mainly focuses on the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. So without further ado, let's jump into that. All right. Okay, hold on. Let me get things right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Here we are.
All right. All right, guys.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm going to read some of these, but not all of them, guys. In this video, we will cover everything about David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad on a timeline of events that accumulated into the demand of David's vision to be released. This is the most complete compilation you'll see. More to come. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that there is more because this is a phenomenal video. We all know this part, but go ahead and read that. Read along with that if you haven't, guys.
Yep. I did hear about that there was rumors about in 2009 about a villain superhero team up, but they didn't specifically say about Suicide Squad. They didn't specifically mention that.
Exactly. History lesson. In September 19, 2014, it was reported by Variety that Ayer had signed on to direct the movie, and sources told them that the studio felt that Ayer was a good fit for a dark and edgy film. He is known for his distinctive vision and style for Fury, End of Watch, Street Kings, and Harsh Times. While Ayer was finishing post-production on Fury, he began writing the script for Suicide Squad, allegedly. The studio only gave him 6 weeks to develop the script once the theatrical release date was already set, even though realistically this period could have been related with the first draft, given some of the details being changed in favor. Casting process began in October 2014. On April 8, 2015, David revealed the full cast in a tweet. Jared would be revealed by David in the next day doing Joker's iconic what's that say?
Iconic.
Iconic from the art cover, the iconic take, I think it's supposed to say.
Yeah.
From the art cover from the Killing Joke graphic novel, which we all know what that is. We all know what that is.
Yep.
There we go. There's David Ayer.
Yeah.
There's the picture. There's Jared. That's the first release image. The movie was moving so fast into production that in April 13th, 2015, the movie began shooting principal photography, as Ayer stated also on Twitter. Day one, Suicide Squad.
Yep.
On March 3rd, 2015, David shared the first picture of the whole Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Task Force X assembled and ready. On July 11th, the Suicide Squad panel at San Diego Comic-Con broke all expectations, showing the first teaser trailer. The audience reaction was so positive that the teaser leaked and went viral, forcing WB to post it on YouTube in the very next day, making it the first Comic-Con exclusive teaser to ever be leaked and shown. The teaser showed at Comic-Con had a very dark and dense atmosphere that was true to Ayer's vision. That mature tone managed to hype up everyone at Hall H, especially in the scenes where Joker and Harley appeared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really.
That was all reshot.
Yeah.
They said it was the biggest the reaction was so strong from the fans that it was and that it was the biggest trailer or teaser trailer ever released, and leaked to the point where it was the first time they had to officially drop the trailer because of the leak and the hype surrounding the movie ever at a DC Comic-Con panel. All right, I'm gonna move this cowl of a damn mic over to the side, guys, so I can read. My mic is a monster. But anyway, hold on. At the end of the panel, the whole cast showed up at Hall H. Up to this point, everything was 100% Ayer's movie. There was no studio meddling or interference of any kind. The public was getting excited and intrigued with the movie, but these things wouldn't stay this way for too long.
Yeah.
The next move made by the studio was to hire the trailer park company specialized in editing trailers. The first trailer was released.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
It was actually called that. Okay, it was actually called that.
Yeah. I know, that's something I didn't know neither. Said the next move made by the studio was to hire the trailer park company. That's literally what they were called, I guess. Wow.
Yeah.
Specialized in editing trailers. Wow, that sounds like a good idea, don't it?
Wow, okay.
The first trailer was released in January 20th, 2016, and is, until this date, considered by many one of the best trailers ever made. Yeah, trailers, not a movie.
Yep.
They synchronized editing, the song Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and the flashing neon letters. The footage was 100% Ayer's, but now the trailer had jokes, a lighter tone, psychedelic aesthetic, and a punk rock feel. The trailer struck a huge contrast with the first dramatic teaser. It became a fan favorite, but it was misleading, a side effect which would doom the movie.
Mm-hmm. Like 9 days. 9 day.
Context. The first big issue with WB at the time was the studio's eagerness in achieving the popularity and success of Marvel projects without caring much on first establishing a cohesive cinematic universe first.
Yeah.
The studio was so desperate to emulate Marvel that when Deadpool became a financial and critical success in February 12, 2016, it ended up becoming a role model to what the executives at WB believed the DCEU movies should be. Here we go, guys. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice hit theaters in March 25th, 2016, and with that, the studio faced a backlash like no other from specialized critics. The movie did well financially, but was deemed too dark, overly grim, and with a nonsensical plot.
And real quick, before we continue, I don't know if he's going to bring it up, but just in case, a lot of people don't know about this. Like, still to this day, don't know about this. But the Russo brothers actually confirmed that the main reason why Civil War happened was because BVS was announced. I think it was Joe Russo that said it. Like, he went in depth saying that they went to Kevin Feige to say that, basically said, hey, we need a movie that challenges the audience, because at the time they knew the Russo brothers knew that they were losing their audience at that time. And Kevin Feige kept saying no. And then when the BVS announcement happened at San Diego Comic-Con, that's when Kevin Feige said, okay, yeah, let's do Civil War. So, yeah, that's how Civil War came to be.
Yep. I remember, Jeffrey. I remember, brother. All that due to WB's marketing promoting all that is due to WB's marketing promoting wrongly as being simply a versus movie rather than the Dawn of Justice. and editing out 30 minutes worth of plot essential points out of the movie to fasten the pace, making the final cut feel flat, and its deconstructive narrative also being way too much for a movie that feels like it just puts two superheroes against each other, only to battle together in the end without a reasonable arc to sustain it.
Yep.
That was the issues they created by chopping that movie to pieces and putting it in theaters.
Yep.
It's obvious to me, and I think it's pretty obvious to anybody that's listening to this podcast and that's followed what happened with DC, that a lot of the problems that came about with the building of their cinematic universe, including the reactionary tendency to keep changing back and forth every time, at the drop of a hat, they would freak out and change what they were going to do. And that was, Sugihara played a big role in that. His attitude toward the DC properties and general toward how he ran the studio. And Sugihara, that was a lot of that was his call. He wanted less Superman in Batman versus Superman, for example. And
did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
Kevin Sugihara thought it would be a good idea to have less Superman in Batman versus Superman. How flippin' retarded do you gotta be?
Wow.
That's why a lot of those edits happened.
Wow.
Okay, back to it. Bad decisions. When executives took all factors into account, plus the success of the first trailer did with the fans, they panicked, believing that the problem was with the dark style, not in the poor handling of the IP. The next movie from the studio was to invest more and more in a fun and optimistic tone for the movie and to stray away from what had been presented at Comic-Con. Right here, David Ayer. I remember this. So this is a fan said I started a joke trailer is the greatest isolated piece of Suicide Squad content. David Ayer responds, "This trailer nailed the tone and intention of the film I made.
Methodical,
layered, complex. Yeah, complex, beautiful, and sad. After the BVS review shell-shocked the leadership at the time, and the success of Deadpool, my soulful drama was beaten into a comedy." And then we got another one, guys. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. For sure, that became a factor, but the reason was BVS got chewed up by the critics and the success of Deadpool. The studio leadership at the time panicked. The major elements of my cut were ripped out before I could fully mature the edit. Then Johns wrote pages I had to reshoot. Sad face.
Yeah.
Wow. Fucking Jeff Johns. But you never know who was making him do it. Walter Amada? Or was it him? Just really all him? Even more bad decisions. On March 31st, 2016, it was reported by Birth Movies Death that WB was requesting reshoots that would alter the tone of the film. A source told the site that every joke in the movie is in the trailer.
Wow. Wow. Talk about spoiling comedy.
Even more bad decisions continued. On April 6, 2016, when asked about the reshoots, Jay Courtney told Entertainment Tonight that the reshoots weren't meant to add humor, but to add action, which, of course, we know now wasn't the case. Yep, he was being a good foot soldier and being controlled by WB just like David Ayer was initially. telling us the opposite of what it was.
There's been some news lately that you guys are maybe doing a little bit of reshooting for Suicide Squad as well to make it a little funnier, something.
Is that the word?
Well, I guess the trailer was.
See how he's surprised? He's surprised, like, damn, how do these people know this? See, you gotta imagine. Now, you got to imagine, this is before the movie came out. So all of this stuff was leaked, and diehard fans knew what was going on. So as good as these movies did, how much did it affect the box office of BVS and of Suicide Squad and Justice League, effectively?
Yep.
Was so positively received with all the jokes, and like my favorite part was like you just cracking the. I assume it was a beer. I don't know. I was like, this is the most relatable moment. To make it more kind of that tone.
I think there's plenty of that in it. I wouldn't say we're going back to make it funnier. There's some additional action stuff that we've been doing, which is pretty dope. Yeah, really, we're just kind of adding in that sense.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the.
That's what the report was. It was like, oh.
Yeah. See, he's trying to dig. He's trying to dig without giving himself away and figuring out where that narrative came from. You know what I mean? And because he's trying to help the studio keep this on lock and key, just like David Ayer was initially. That's what they, in them contracts and NDAs and stuff that they signed, that's all part of that,
The trailer was so well received. I was laughing, and then that's what I keep being told. I feel like that's a common thing.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, and then right here, David Ayer confirms that right then and there,
that
was the case. That's exactly what happened right then and there. Suicide Squad reshoots for humor. Or actually, no, this is the one where he says reshoots for humor is silly. When a studio loves your movie and asks what else you want, go for it. Thanks, WB. More action. Yeah, this is them still trying to. Even David Ayer would try to control the narrative. But see, this is in 2016, and see, David didn't know to the extent they changed and dicked with his movie. He knew that in every movie you got to compromise a little bit for the most part. But to the extent that they did, he had no idea at the time. There was a point that came that'll come up later on in this video where he says that they locked at some point. They just locked the doors and kicked him out.
Oh wow. Okay.
At the time, there was a feeling of unease regarding the studio's handling with the reshoots and editing. Why? When WB released the Ultimate Edition for BVS, it proved that Zack's original cut was a far superior and more cohesive version on top of the studio's muddled edit. That's why there was a feeling of unease with the fans before this thing even hit theaters. So again, as good as this thing did, making almost $800 million, how much would it have made had all this shit not came out? Had none of this shit actually happened, therefore none of it would have came out. They wouldn't have done that shit in the first place. How much money would the universe have generated? This made several critics apologize for the over-the-top reviews for a movie that wasn't quite his. It served as a red flag for the studio's bad decisions and how it could affect future projects.
Yep, and I remember that day. All of the critics were apologizing around that time once the Ultimate Edition came out.
Yep.
Ragging on this film relentlessly since I saw it, and then the second time I saw it, I even liked it less. But I got to say, this Ultimate Edition, this must be the version that all those Warner Brothers people got up and did these standing ovation about that we heard so many months. They were like, oh,
it's literally, it's night and day. It's so crazy, the difference between these versions. And I think the thing that I took away when the movie ended was I actually felt terrible, or I felt bad for Zack Snyder, because this is the movie he made. And this is the version he wanted to release. Like, and I don't know if you guys ever saw, but I interviewed him at the junket, and he said, I made a 3-hour version, and I wish I could have released it, but I can't. I got to release a 2.5-hour version.
Jeffrey, what was the runtime for BVS Ultimate Edition?
3 hours.
Yeah. So they cut out over a half hour of footage, and we know that now, but
yeah, and it was just and remember what he said. It was only 30 minutes of new footage, which on paper it doesn't really sound like a lot, but think about this: most TV shows generally go about like 25 minutes, sometimes 30. And that really like those 30 minutes were really important to the story, to the point where, like you said, it was like night and day.
Yeah, exactly. It was absolutely night and day difference. Absolutely. And hold on real quick. And Jeffrey, you want to go through some of these comments real quick? I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something. I'll be right back.
And we will continue. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. So let's see here. Yeah, this is new. Slipknot band says Clayface. Did you watch the Batman? I skipped it in honor of Batfleck and Zach. I gotta say, I saw it and I really didn't think, and I thought it was really kind of average Slipknot band. So really, I will say that I really didn't think anything of it. But I will say that my favorite part of the movie was the Catwoman subplot. I thought that was really the most interesting thing about the movie. So there's my 2 cents on that. The movie, okay, so we went over that one. The reboot would be horrendous. Pedro says we need Zaslav. We need David Zaslav and James Gunn on a live stream soon. Pedro, that would be nice. But that's not likely to happen. Slipknot band, absolutely love that Joker scene. I think you were talking about the teaser, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I do agree. I do like that Joker scene too. I liked that whole teaser actually. I love it actually. Slipknot band. John Schnepp is a great guy, and really, right. So yeah.
All right, guys, subscribe if you're new. Smash the like button. All right, you ready to get back to it, Jeffrey?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. I gotta fix this real quick. There we go. All right. This was an amazing experience. We did a lot of experimentation and collaboration along the way, but we are both very proud of the results. This is a David Ayer film, and Warner Brothers is proud to present it, Greg Silverman. In response to that unease, WB executive Greg Silverman would come publicly and say that the movie that they had been working on is 100% David Ayer's, which was another lie. And this, again, guys, is why James Gunn needs to get his ducks in a row, and they've got to start being clear, and they got to stop playing games.
Yep, and Greg Silverman, like, he's been out of WB for a while, like for years now, from what I understand. And ever since then, he's been pro Snyderverse, like saying. He's been saying some stuff behind the scenes on Twitter as well. I don't know if this guy's gonna go into it, but yeah, he's been he's been on Twitter recently saying things that also went down behind the scenes at around that time.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
The next trailer was shown April 10th, 2016 on MTV Movie Awards.
Oh, wow. So that's where the next trailer debuted. Wow. That's pretty ironic, actually.
Yeah, isn't that pretty ironic? MTV Movie
that's
Awards.
pretty ironic.
Jared Leto, Margot Robbie, Will Smith, and Cara Delevingne, I can't ever say her last name right, presented the Blitz trailer. Yep, Cara Delevingne presented the Blitz trailer that was released publicly on the next day. It is all doomed. Boom, here we go.
Wow.
Breakdown. Comic-Con. First trailer, the Blitz trailer. Let's see how much they transitioned over that period of time, panicking behind the scenes, reshooting the whole movie. At this stage, some reshoots had already been made to lighten the tone, and the effects of this decision were already visible, starting with the logo design at the end of each new trailer, switching the scratched metal with blood, red background for a glitter, sparkly rainbow logo.
Yep.
And what's crazy is they didn't even know, because they're just actors. To the extent that this movie was chopped up, they hadn't even seen what was released yet. And then after seeing it, they were all like, what the fuck was that? And they couldn't say anything because they were under NDAs and contracts.
Yeah.
And you see the emphasis he put on the worst villains ever? We didn't see none of that in the movie because they cut all their backstories and then they reshot the arcs that we did see.
Wait, did he say villains or heroes?
No, he said villains. Here, let's go back just a little. Hold on. I'm not very good at going back without going too far, but hold on. Oh, he did say worst heroes ever.
Heroes.
Yep, you're right. I couldn't hear him that good. But he said the worst heroes ever, though. Yeah. I don't think he meant that ironically, in the sense that the movie was fucking trash, what they released, and that it made the whole movie was not good because of what they did to it. I think legitimately in the movie that they filmed, that they literally were heroes and started out in a very dark and bad place and had to rise to the occasion. But the way that they edited the movie and changed, there was just a real emphasis on the worst heroes ever. And he was very confident and very cocky and very happy when he said that. And that's him and Leto and Margot and Cara right there.
Yeah.
So far, the marketing had taken the world by storm in every conceivable way. The green, purple, neon aesthetic and the promise of a funny movie was already something everyone expected. At this point, WB's marketing was more and more straying away from what David's original plan was, the one vision that executives trusted back when it all started.
Yep.
This is interesting right here. Squad is completed. This is in 2016.
Yeah.
Finished, final mix and coloring. Now it's off to the lab in the world. Nothing like it out there. It is a beast. The movie had a troubled post-production. On June 24th, 2016, David tweeted that his movie was completed. It was entering the lab, a.k.a. the editing room. This was in June 2016.
Yeah.
And then again, it's a wrap, folks. Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers. But on August 28th, 2015, David Ayer confirmed in another tweet prior to that the movie had officially wrapped.
Yeah, so that really, like, if you fill in the gaps yet, like, that begs the question, why would he say that the movie has been completed twice and is going to be in the editing room?
Exactly.
Like, and it's like a year later. So like so we should have known something was up by then. And again, when he posted two tweets years apart saying the movie is done, it's a wrap, and it's a wrap twice in 2015 and 2016. So it's like, how can it be a wrap twice?
Exactly. And here's another thing, Jeffrey. That confirms again me and your theory about the Ayer cut. There's two Ayer cuts. There's the fully mature edit that's probably unfinished. Mostly the CGI is mostly unfinished. Then there's what I would call the theatrical version of the Ayer cut with slight changes, slight compromises. Mostly still his movie. With a little bit of the jokey shit in it, but not as much, and all the arcs are mostly fully still intact.
Yeah.
Still, CGI third act, slightly unfinished. So 2 Ayer cuts.
Yep.
So, but his second version that was revised, that's what he wrapped the original super dark mature edit.
Yeah.
That he said followed like a tone similar to The Dark Knight, and even had the same editor. What did he say? What the guy's name was? Something Lee?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He said a fully mature edit. That was the original one that he completed and submitted in 15. They must have looked at it, decided what they wanted changed. When he was still on board, it was still his project, and he just added a couple of more, added a little bit of more colors in it, added a joke or two here or there. And maybe altered slightly 1 or 2 things with the plot, but mostly everything was still intact. But still, right then and there, they were already reshot. We're doing reshoots and editing, and that's when he was still working on his own movie. A year later, already a red flag, and he's still in control of the movie.
Yep.
All right, let's continue.
Can't see.
Oh, hold on real quick. I got it off. Let's see. Slipknot fan real quick. I remember seeing those Suicide Squad logos kept changing colors from dark and gritty to garnish and childish, and wondering what the f- is happening. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just where it starts to get good, guys. Hang in there with us.
You were a quarter of the way through.
It was between this period that more reshoots and rewrites had been demanded by Jeff Johns, who became president of DC Entertainment around that time. I didn't know he became president of DC Entertainment around that time. I knew
he did. He did.
I knew he was in the studio, and I knew he had a lot of pull, but I didn't know he was actually became president of DC Entertainment around that time.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember now. Yeah, Jeff Johns was the president around that time. It was only for a short while, and then that's when Walter Amada came in.
It was reported by Deadline that post-production costs were around $175 million, having what's it say? US 22 million.
Yeah.
Oh, having US dollars 22 million just for reshoots. 22 million in reshoots, way above the industry average of 7 to 6 million. With all the pressure, David kept trying to make it look like everything was fine and the movie would be released, would be his. A Zapata quote is my way of saying I love the movie and believe in it, made it for the fans, best experience of my life. Oh yeah, because it was still his cut. It was just some reshoots to add humor and to lighten things up.
Yeah.
Around that same time, there was a rumor that WB hired Studio Park Company to edit the movie. On August 4th, 2016, David addressed these rumors in an interview with Chris Van, whatever that is, that several cuts had been tested. Several cuts. And at some point, the studio locked the door and decided which cut they was going to release.
Yeah.
Watch this.
I mean, the movie's been, well, it's going to be out this weekend, but you've seen many different versions of it.
I have.
At what point do you kind of step back and go, all right, this is, you know, because every time you watch it, you must be going, let's change this. I wish we could do this.
So right there, this is still before the movie's released. All of this is being leaked out.
Yep.
There's people asking them about this in interviews. Like, that's not good for a movie that you're about to release when you got a diehard fan base that pays attention to this shit.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, if the Ayer cut would have been released and none of this bad PR and shit came out, that movie could have made almost $1 billion. Same thing with BVS. They would have been there already.
Yep.
Yes. When do you let go and go, yes, this is our film?
You know, making a movie's like climbing a mountain, and you think you hit the peak, and then there's another summit, and you know, you can always make it better. And as a director, you know, that has to be your instinct, to never give up, to always improve it, to always try and make it better. But at a certain point, they lock the door.
Who's they in this case?
The people writing the checks.
Did you hear that, Jeffrey?
The people writing the checks.
Lock the door on it.
Wow.
And this came out before the movie came out. And there was so much that we didn't even hear all of this stuff until after we seen the movie.
Yeah.
At least me. So this early on, you have David Ayer confirming, because he's being pressed hard. So is the whole cast and crew about what is going on with this movie. And he basically confirms, and he probably regretted it right then because he did PR damage like a mofo with tweets and all kinds of stuff after that, saying it's his movie and all this stuff. You know, he just confirmed right there that long ago what they did.
Yep.
You know, they're like, guys, we actually have to release this someday.
See, look, and now he's
this
trying
can't
to
be your
downplay
pet
it.
project for the next, 20 years. We got a schedule here, so.
Yeah, see, and that was him trying to make light humor out of it. Like, damn, I said too much. Like, you know, trying to play it like
a joke.
Yeah. On August 7th, 2021, the producer Charles Roven would come out and tell the Hollywood Reporter that both versions, the studio and Ayer's cut, tested exactly the same with audiences. Clearly, just another PR talk.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
Right there, confirming who did what to the movie. We tested both versions. They tested exactly the same with audiences. Bullshit. Because they tested exactly the same. David, the studio, ourselves, meaning Richard Suckle, and I, the heads of DC Studios at the time, John Berg and Jeff Johns, we all sat in a room and tried to come up with what would be the best of both versions. Audiences, so right there, John Berg and Jeff Johns, like Ray Fisher said, were the biggest problem. And then came Walter Amata.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just. Charles Roven. That's a quote by Charles Roven.
Yeah.
And right here, that clearly wasn't the case. One of the few people that had attended the test screenings for the movie was Daniel Richmond, Daniel RPK, We all know about him over there on Twitter.
Yep.
He's an insider and a leaker. His reaction towards the first cut tested and some of the last ones had been a night and day difference. One to say the least.
Yeah.
There we are. Daniel RPK. Suicide Squad was amazing. And this is the first original cut that they've seen. Suicide Squad finally gives you the Batman you always wanted to see. I'm still waiting to see that. Also, Batman has as much screen time in Suicide Squad, remember this, Jeffrey, as Spider-Man had in Civil War. Much more than I was expecting. Suicide Squad doesn't have a main character per se, but I guess Harley Quinn would be the closest thing to it.
So everything was spread out.
Everything was fine and dandy then at this point when they tested the Ayer cut.
Yep.
After. Here's the new updated responses. I feel like some of the changes were made to put Will Smith's Deadshot more in the front. Some of the changes they've done for Suicide Squad were just odd. They changed the order of some scenes too and added flashbacks. It was so disappointing to see that the great film that was inside there seemingly was ruined in the editing room. Wow. Daniel RPK. And this is in 2016. All of this is coming out August 9th, 2016.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed when I saw the final cut of the movie, but I tried to stay positive. I really did. In 2018, Daniel would express that the original cut tested was vastly better than the final one. The more I think about the theatrical version of Suicide Squad, the less I like it. Man, they really messed it up. Another tweet by Daniel RPK. As someone who saw a test screening, I know that for a fact the original version was much better. And then he's responding.
And that was in 2019. Those are in 2016 too.
Now, this one right here, the more I think about it, this is after the 2016. He already was saying that he didn't like the compromised Ayer cut because it's 2016. They hadn't gave us the final product. They weren't done meddling with it yet.
Yeah.
So the more that he says he thinks about it, that he really like he hated the original compromised Ayer cut. But he didn't have no idea how bad it was going to get from there on out. As someone who saw, and then here we go in 2018, the end of 2018, September 22nd, 2018, David Ayer puts two different characters. Harley's arc was vastly simplified. It's fun to play, gotcha, but remember, released film was very different from the original assembly. And that's when he replied, as someone who saw that test screen, I know for a fact the original version was much, much better. Ayer himself had already confirmed back in 2016 that several cuts had been tested. He also revealed for Empire in August of that year that there was around 6 to 7 versions of the same movie being tested all at once. Another hint that the studio had no clue on what they were doing at the time with the IP.
Yep.
Right there, there's the quote. Right here. So this is back then. Wow, in 18 or 16?
Yeah, 2016, I guess.
Yeah, Ayer says there's a linear version we did where it opens with June Moon in the cave and tells the story in a sequence with the arrest and Batman, and then we go to Belle Reve. Honestly, there may be 6 or 7 different versions of the film, Ayer told Empire. So we came up with what we call the dossier version, which has Amanda Waller presenting the backstories and origins of the various members, basically dumbing it down, shortening it, fastening the pace, dumbing it down for the general population.
AKA giving like a whole PowerPoint. Like, it was basically like a whole PowerPoint presentation. Like, here's Deadshot's origin, here's
Captain
Boomerang.
And you know what's funny? They did the same thing with Black Adam, with the JSA.
Yeah.
That's how you know it was the same people involved, but they had complete, they had no, they knew right off rip what they were going to do with Black Adam, though. This is literally a film that they hired a distinctive director, let him film an entire movie, said they were going to put it out, and then locked him out of the studio and did what the hell they wanted to it.
Yep.
Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot.
Here it is. This is what we got
this
instead of the real film.
Yep.
That was all Jeff Johns is doing.
Harley Quinn.
John Berg and Jeff Johns.
Yep.
Captain Boomerang.
Yep, this whole PowerPoint thing, like, here's everyone's deal, and that's it.
It's in an attempt to make those characters easier to understand while emulating Deadpool simultaneously. But it only achieves the feeling of being rushed, confusing, and expositive.
Yeah.
Like a music video clip.
Yeah.
But in August 15th, 2021, David would reveal that the final version tested along with the studios was the one that didn't fully resemble his version either. A bat cut.
A bat cut.
See, now that's something I didn't know. But like I said, Jeffrey, the bat cut was the first compromised version after his full on Ayer cut, his original Ayer cut, the first metal cut, which was the Ayer cut theatrical bastardized version, is what they call the bat cut.
Yeah.
Something similar happened with Zack Snyder, who had to include certain dialogues and scenes in his cut as studio demands, mostly Jeff Johns. Some appeared in trailers but wasn't actually part of his vision either. But they've now released the Snyder cut. And then right here...
That one went real quick.
Yeah, it did. So, and then GameSpot, Suicide Squad's Ayer cut didn't actually test better with audiences than DC's cut. And right here, David Ayer putting them in their place. No, wrong, stop. The cuts tested were the studio cut and my version of the studio cut. Right there.
Yeah.
So his cut was already the studio cut, and then the other cut was what we actually got in theaters. So there was the bastardized Ayer cut, and then the full-on, fully compromised bastardized cut.
Yep. And so that basically means and I don't know if he's going to bring it up, but David actually tweeted out saying that around the time, like at the time of him tweeting it, that no one has seen his actual cut. They've only seen the studio Ayer cut.
Exactly. And that's why I'm telling you, Jeffrey, in the true Ayer cut, like even the cut that he's showing people, right? That he showed Will, right?
Yeah.
That could have not even have been the true Ayer cut.
Mm.
That could have been the original cut where he compromised, but he filmed the reshoots himself.
Yeah.
The back cut, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as they dubbed it. That could have been that version, because think about it. I didn't see nobody say that the Ayer cut was not finished. And anybody that's seen the true Ayer cut, that would have been the first thing that they would have said is, great movie, just, but it's not finished. There's some special effects that need to be done.
Yeah.
The RT accounts didn't say that, and Will Rollins didn't say that. So, did they see the true Ayer cut?
Yeah, like that's really the thing. Like you're actually 100% right, because they would have said that, hey, there is some stuff that needs to be done. So that to me really makes me think about something real quick, about how David said that 95% needs to be done, and that's only the VFX. So my question is, when he was saying that the movie is 95% done and it just needs some VFX work for the third act, my question is, was he talking about the studio Ayer cut, or was he actually talking about the original Ayer cut?
Exactly. And that is what we need to know, because like I said, I guarantee you in the original Ayer cut, there's probably quite a bit that needs done in the third act, because I guarantee you there's still a lot of apocalyptic elements that have to do with the Nightmare Future timeline, Steppenwolf, parademons, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. If we do get the Ayer cut, my only concern and worry is that David would just be happy people seeing his movie, period.
Yeah.
And it's though we are large, we're not quite as large as we were when we fought for the Snyder cut. Yeah. So would he actually be able to get his true vision seen without having millions of dollars shoved into it to finish the real cut of it, the true Ayer cut? Or would he just be like, you know what, hell, if we can just get the back cut released, and they only got to put $5 million into VFX so that we could, just for polishing, that's probably the cut that he's talking about, but I don't want him to do that. If that's the case, like, dude, no, we're fighting for your true vision, man.
Yeah.
We want that real deal Ayer cut, bro. Like, Zach had a bastardized a Snyder cut, a theatrical version of the Snyder cut that we've never seen. And we probably wouldn't have been happy with it, because it would have been a mix of what we already seen and a mix of Zach's Justice League with a lot of shit still altered, changed, and removed.
Yep. And Zach even said that he has a 2-hour version of his own movie, which I think everyone agrees that would have been bad also. Like, even though it was Zach, we know Zach likes to make long movies, and usually his longer movies are the ones that are mostly liked and are mostly popular. So, imagine seeing a 2-hour Zack Snyder movie that has a Justice League movie with only 3 characters that have been properly introduced. Right. That wouldn't have worked.
And the other thing, and the other thing is too, this sounds like we were going to get a direct sequel to BVS Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
we were going to get a direct sequel. It was going to be rated R. It was going to have a similar runtime, over 2.5 hours. The Ayer cut was going to be, for whether it was the back cut. We don't know how long the assembly cut, or whatever you want, the true Ayer cut, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. How long the runtime for that puppy is, we don't know. But we just know that it was going to be. How long was BVS? It was 2.5 hours.
Yep.
Right? Now this movie was going to be
cut.
Right, the theatrical cut. So it stands to reason that David's theatrical Ayer cut is 2.5 hours as well.
Yeah.
And that the real Ayer cut is probably closer to 3, like the BVS Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
So let's get back to it. The movie that hit theaters on August 5th, 2016, it was a massive financial success, earning $267 million in the U.S. opening weekend in 57 territories, surpassing the early predictions of 100 to 140 million. Yeah, David Ayer had a banger on his hands, and they destroyed it.
Yeah,
they fucked it up. They fucked up the box office of what it would have done. They messed with the overall product, and what happened is what we got as a result. DC don't need no fixing. It needs to be restored. The Snyderverse needs to be restored. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's all that needs to be done.
The movie broke several other records. It toppled the previous record held by Guardians of the Galaxy on its theatrical debut. So this thing toppled the record held by Guardians of the Galaxy by James Gunn by a long shot, but they wanted to bring in the director from Guardians of the Galaxy to shoot the sequel when they already had a guy that delivered well beyond, before people seen it. Like, people ain't gonna know till they see it. People, they came out thinking they were getting the Ayer cut and thinking they were getting what was initially advertised.
Yep.
And they showed their support, and you bait and switched them.
And that's really the thing too. Like, I keep saying this: the first and only trailer I saw leading up to Suicide Squad was that first teaser. That's really the only trailer I saw at that time. And then when I saw the movie and what it was, I was like, wait, what happened to the tone and everything else?
Right. Right here, a success. Suicide Squad went on until it hit the final market of US $746.8 million worldwide at the end of the theatrical window, even without a Chinese release.
Yep. So once
almost
again,
800 million. Now imagine how many diehards already dealt with the bullshit from BVS that were on board with the universe that they were doing.
Yep.
And they already been bait and switched once. And then you've got leaks coming out because they're doing so much shady shit behind the scenes. You got leaks coming out, and you've got all these actors, and you got the director himself being addressed in it while they're trying to promote the movie about what's going on with the movie, what's going on with all these reshoots we're hearing about, and adding humor and scenes getting cut and all this shit. So a lot of people went into it knowing that there was a good chance this movie was going to be screwed with, but they gave it their best shot. But guess what? They didn't go back to see it again because they knew as soon as they seen it, the diehards that give you your repeat viewings, they didn't come back for repeat viewings. So imagine if there wouldn't have been the initial damage done PR-wise with the DC diehards that know comic book movies and pay attention to this kind of shit, and we're supporting your universe. You already did this to them once with BVS, and now there's red flags everywhere before the movie comes out, and they're to where people that are interviewing the actors and director when the movie's coming out are having to ask these questions.
Yep.
And he flat out said, David Ayer slipped a few times and flat out confirmed. So imagine if none of that happened, none of that bad PR, and they would have just let the movie come out that was initially made, how big would that worldwide box office have been?
That probably would have made $1 billion.
And right now, as far as I'm concerned, with inflation and the fact that it didn't release in China, that's the equivalent to $1 billion now.
Yep, and that's the thing too. Like, people don't know about this about
that's
BBS.
A banger, bro.
Yep, and people don't realize this about BBS. It would have made $1 billion if they finished the original theatrical window. I'd say completed. And I mentioned that because not a lot of people knew about this. Like, I actually didn't find out about this until I read a Snyderverse book that basically Warner Brothers pulled BVS out of theaters a few weeks early. They pulled it out a few weeks early. So the theatrical cut of BVS easily would have made $1 billion.
Right, and if you go back, and how long ago did that come out? 2015, 2016, these movies came out. You're talking 7+ years ago. You adjust for inflation now, and without the Chinese market, probably for both movies, you're talking $1 billion easy. It's and that's what's crazy. The critics can shit on shit, and people can these shills, they can shit on the movies if they want. But the amount of money, clearly you're outnumbered, because quite a lot of people, what people didn't like was the bait and switch that they were pulling. What people didn't like is how they were advertising one thing and then giving the audience something completely different, while abusing the creatives behind the scenes.
Yep.
And even with all that, these movies still were this successful.
Yep.
This successful. Dude, the Suicide Squad, Black Adam, they can't even cross $400 million at the worldwide box office.
Mm-hmm.
Until this date, it still holds the 20th place at WB's biggest worldwide theatrical box office record since The Exorcist in 1973. Yeah. Behind only Aquaman and BVS and Wonder Woman, respectively. Wonder Woman 1.
Yep.
And guess
and
what?
That really
them were all
should
Snyder
say
films.
something. That really, and this video came out when, like 9 days ago now. So, yeah, that's really impressive. Like when you really think about it.
And look at this right here. They put this marker here to let you know that this is without being adjusted for inflation.
Yep.
You adjust these numbers for inflation.
Yeah, according to the numbers, not adjusted for inflation. So this means around that using the money for that time, it's still in the 20th place for WB's biggest theatrical box office records.
Yep. Not to mention, it also received an Oscar for Best Makeup
and
hairstyling.
Yep.
Star Trek Beyond, Joel Harlow and Richard Alonso. Suicide Squad, Alessandro Bertolazzi, Giorgio
They had a
Bertolini,
gold mine on their
and
hands,
Christopher
man.
Nelson.
What they did was a travesty.
Yep. And the thing is, too,
for Suicide Squad, Alessandro Bertolazzi, Giorgio Gregorini, and Christopher Nelson.
These were the guys behind the scenes.
Yep, and the thing is, too, this is actually something I kind of came to the realization when Zack Snyder's Justice League won that Fan Oscar award, that people don't seem to realize that in terms of the DCEU, so not counting the Joker because that's outside of the DCEU. So in terms of the DCEU, you have two Snyderverse movies winning Oscars. Like, really think about that. With how many movies they have, the two Snyderverse movies have Oscars, while the DCEU doesn't as of right now. Really think about that. Just really think it. Like, I really do find that pretty funny.
Right.
On the other hand, there was a design. It was okay. So going through the bad reviews.
Yep, and then this is saying basically that WB announced the extended cut and it would premiere on digital release. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then there was the extended cut was a mess, is what it's saying.
Yeah.
It was believed it would be the same situation as BVS with a half hour worth of content that would make the movie more cohesive and enjoyable, but it ended up being just 11 minutes of added footage.
Yeah. With no real content to it as well, just randomly put together. Daniel RPK would again hint that there was a huge abyss between what David had done. But not only that, this version didn't improve the plots of the theatrical that it instead doubles down. Okay, so Yeah, here's some of the scenes from the extended cut and behind the scenes. Yep, didn't show that.
Harley, you coming?
Some time passed, and after claiming that the theatrical cut was 100% his, David decided to tell. Yeah,
with
we
more
know.
and more evidence shown, it was clear that everyone in the project had been mistreated during all the process. But there was also a superior version that remains unseen.
Yeah.
By general audiences. All right. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this.
Okay.
Sometime this week. So we're almost at the 2-hour mark, and I got some family over here. So yeah. Release the haircut.
Yeah, release the haircut, and don't forget to timestamp the video so that we can continue.
Yep. Time. Yep. Definitely. We are at the 18:39.
Okay.
So we're gonna read that's the timestamp. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Remember that, Jeffrey. But I'm gonna get out of here, guys.
Peace.
Till next time. Peace.